Friends, hello! In this video, I will tell you about the secrets of growing tomatoes to get a very large and tasty harvest, so that the tomatoes do not get sick and grow strong. And I will start with one of the most important secrets, watering. Tomatoes have a very deep root system, so when we water them just with a watering can, we only moisten a thin layer of soil, and the tomato starts to develop only surface roots, not going very deep. As a result, they will not handle heat well because the surface where the root system is located will overheat, causing the plant's leaves to curl, and it will grow poorly. Therefore, it is best to use drip irrigation for tomatoes. Drip irrigation moistens the soil very deeply, and the root system develops strongly in depth. If drip irrigation is not possible, then water the tomatoes once every 3 consecutive days during hot days, and once every 5 consecutive days when it is not very hot, as well as when the first tomatoes start to ripen. Because if you water too often, ripe tomatoes can start to crack periodically. If you have a drip irrigation system, set it on a timer or turn it on manually twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, and water approximately 2 liters per bush for optimal results. Then the leaves do not curl, as you can clearly see, and the tomatoes grow vigorously, setting a large harvest. The second secret is the mandatory removal of suckers. As you can see, the suckers on my tomatoes have been carefully cut off. And I left a very small stump and removed them when they were still very small. This way, the wound is extremely small, it dries up quickly, and thus we reallocate all of those nutrients that the plant was utilizing for its growth of suckers. Not only will the plant grow upwards faster, but the nutrients will also go towards ripening the harvest more quickly and making the fruits themselves larger. Suckers need to be removed throughout the entire season. As you can see, they sometimes grow here, one was removed here, and one grew here. It will need to be cut off today. Also, removing suckers provides good ventilation between the leaves and fruits, which reduces the likelihood of our tomatoes getting sick. As you can see, my tomatoes are not sick, and I haven't treated them with anything. The third secret also involves suckers, but I will now actually demonstrate how I really doubled my harvest. Under the first cluster, I really left a sucker. This is the central stem, and it grew upwards. And this is a sucker, it also grew upwards. And here, there is the same large harvest. If I hadn't left any suckers, I would have gotten 1 cluster, a second cluster, a third, fourth, fifth, and here the 6th would have been small, and that's it. From this one, I wouldn't get anything. It wouldn't ripen by the end of the season. But this way, I increased my harvest by another 6 clusters. With this method, I can harvest until the end of the season. This way, I get 12 clusters instead of 6. Leave the first sucker that grows under the first cluster. It is the most vigorous. The fourth rule, it's also mandatory, the removal of the lower leaves. I started removing them 2 weeks after I planted the seedlings in the greenhouse, cutting off 1 or 2 leaves each week. I observed the plant. If the plant was growing vigorously and quickly producing leaves, I would cut off 2 leaves. If it was growing weakly, I would cut off 1 leaf. When I trimmed the leaves and reached the first cluster, I did not cut any leaves above it until all the fruits in the first cluster had set. Because if you start cutting the leaves higher up, the tomatoes that have not yet set and the flowers that were indeed also actually hanging there would fall off, and the clusters would be small. I also do not cut off all of the leaves above just yet, due to the fact that these important leaves feed these growing fruits and additionally protect them from potential sunburn damage. Therefore, my recommendation to you is to remove the lower leaves. This is necessary to ensure good ventilation and to prevent our plants from catching diseases from the soil as the leaves spread out on the ground. The spores of fungi are located right here and there. And in favorable conditions, when it is very cool at night and very hot during the day, this fungus under the lower leaves begins to sprout and then spreads throughout the entire plant. Now, the 5th secret, it is also very important. It concerns the fertilization of tomatoes. I fertilize my tomatoes 3 times during the season. And all the fertilizations were nitrogen-free. The first fertilization to develop the root system was done with potassium humate, 2 weeks after planting the seedlings in the ground. The second feeding I did when the tomatoes had already grown, there were already many clusters, and they were all blooming. I fed them with boric acid. She contributed to ensuring that as many tomatoes set in the clusters and that there were no empty flowers. And the third feeding I did when the first tomatoes in the first cluster started changing color from green to technical, I fed them with potassium humate again. According to the instructions, all these videos are already on my channel. Go to the playlists and watch once more. And the very last secret, which is absolutely crucial and extremely significant and no less important than the others, is to harvest on time. When you see that the first tomatoes are already starting to ripen, they have reached technical maturity, they are already red or the color typical for your variety. We start the process of harvesting them in order to thereby redirecting nutrients to help the next tomatoes ripen more efficiently and effectively, and thus faster. If the harvest is not collected on time, they will ripen more slowly and you will get the entire harvest later. And if you are interested in secrets for growing sweet peppers, write about it in the comments and I will make a video for you and tell you what I used to get such a large harvest of peppers without problems, without pests, without treatments, and also without diseases. That's all from me. If the information from this video was useful to you, be sure to give it a like. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the release of new videos. I wish you a great day and see you in the next videos.